Hello. Hello, this is the My Artifact episode number 3589. Today's date is September 13, 2025. It's been almost like a night at 9:34 p.m. Alright, we just directly jump into the question. Let's go. Okay, question is, have I planned how to deal with failure, slow growth, and criticism? Okay. What exactly is this question? By the way, this question is actually associated with the business and startup. Okay. I want to I want to know regarding about this business startup because like I wanted to do business and startup. Okay. And I'm not really a graduate person. I am not really done any kind of like MBA, nothing really at all. Asking this question to myself, I'm literally understand or aware of that, what kind of like a situation that I would gonna face and how do I supposed to deal with that. All right. Okay. Let's go through it. Now, question is, uh, how do I have I plan to deal with a failure, slow growth, and criticism? This is like a very difficult part of the business. Okay, yeah, and most of the business are actually fail because of this reason. Okay, yeah. Let me tell you one thing. I'm telling you the data. 90%, like 100 out of 90%, business fail, startup fail. Yeah, and this is because of this question. Okay, yeah, that you are not really kind of like aware of that criticism or kind of like a something things or that. Actually, it's applicable for me as also. Okay, because I think that ki uh, what if I kind of like establish this startup or business or this application, it might gonna work. It kind of like add value to the people and things and that and that. But in reality, this will not gonna happen. Then what would be? Okay, like basically is this thing na ki sometimes reality is not the way that we kind of like expecting is it. Yeah, like basically we are trying but still somehow it's not gonna work. Okay, it is really essential to understand what is actually realistic goal. Does it actually work or not? Does it actually solve the problem or not? Business or startup is all about kind of like a what kind of like a value that you are providing to the people. Okay, and this is what really essential, dude. Let's just say Amazon, what kind of like a value that they are providing. They can like as a user can kind of like a simply whatever they want, they just click it and they can get the product. You don't have to go anywhere at all. Same goes with the e-commerce website, Flipkart, Meesho, Mintra, lot of things. Okay, food delivery app, Zomato, Swiggy, what kind of like a value that they are offering. Food delivery, you just have to at home, you don't have to cook, you just order, food will kind of like a delivered at your doorstep. It kind of like a provide the value. Ola, Uber, what kind of like a value that they are providing. You can whatever whenever you want to go, it kind of like a connect with the passenger, with the kind of like a simply the driver. Okay, driver needs passenger, passenger needs driver. Those kind of like Ola, Uber actually connect both the together. It's really good, really great. So basically, what I'm trying to tell you is this thing: whatever the kind of like a startup that you have, it really required a kind of like a value. What kind of like a value that you are providing? Okay, let's take Instagram. Why does Instagram? What kind of like Instagram actually giving the value? It giving the value of kind of like a social connection between the people around you or world around you, things like that. Same thing happened with the YouTube. It kind of like a connect with the world, kind of like a tell you the realistic what is actually happening in the world and things like that. Business is all about kind of like a simply what kind of like a value that you are providing to the people. Now the problem is that sometimes founder or entrepreneur or the people who kind of like establish this business, they think that my application or my services will gonna provide the value, but they are not. Maybe they are kind of like providing the value, but they have missed a little bit of calculation or things like that. And it is really very different because let me tell you one thing, na, ki why I'm saying this 90% of business actually fail is because of kind of like a simply unrealistic expectation. because you are kind of like expecting so much big thing happen. Like basically everyone actually think that when I establish the business, then within a year I will have a lot of money, I will gonna buy Rolls Royals, I will have big house and things and that. If you are kind of like a thinking that way, then probably you will not gonna become kind of like that person, because you are more and more thinking about big house and car and things like that. You are not thinking about what kind of like a way to improve your business and things like that. It's not about kind of like going to the office or going to the kind of like things. No, you are like, it is a lot of things. Okay, money is one of the biggest issue. Yeah, legitimately money is one of the biggest issue, because let me tell you one thing na, ki when you run the business, you're not only money is actually involved. Okay, yeah, other people actually invested money on your platform too. So basically you have to be kind of like simply give them little bit of profit. If you are not showing the profit, they will kind of like pull off the money. When you pull off the money, then probably you don't really have money to kind of like survive or give the money to the salary to the employee or things like that, or providing the services or things like that. What I'm trying to tell you is this thing that key, prepare for the worst. Okay, prepare for worst. Like basically what I'm trying to tell you is this thing. Also, I also feel that ki maybe I think that ki this is artifact kind of like a change the life of the people perspective and things and that and that. But in reality, this might not gonna work. It actually work for me, but it might not gonna work for rest of the people. Things like that. This might be kind of like something happened, right? So what I'm trying to tell you is this thing that ki what is actually my realistic goal? My realistic goal is that ki first of all, I not gonna take so much amount of money, okay, at the early stage of my business. Nothing really at all. Because if my business work, it work. If it not, like basically is this thing na ki one of the crucial factor responsible for failure of the business is money. Okay, when you run the business, obviously lot of investor wanted to invest money on new startup and things like that. So basically at the early stage, you might gonna get funding very easily. Okay, yeah, somewhat, yeah, like basically as a government actually pushing the businesses to kind of like do the things, and yeah, so basically everyone actually kind of like pushing the new idea that what kind of like they are doing and stuff like that, right? So basically this is na ki you will get the funding. Okay, like I'm not saying that it's that much easy, but somewhat something you get the funding. Okay, and when you get the funding means like that investor actually put you kind of like give you like a just say $10 million, okay, for kind of like investment and things like that. Now you utilize that kind of like a $10 million for kind of like a something, make your services as good as possible as you can and things like that, right? What I'm trying to tell you is this thing na ki is this thing that ki if like basically is this thing I don't really have money. Okay, yeah, and whatever I will gonna kind of like simply build my application is kind of like only in my level. Like in my level means what? Like basically is this thing, I'm not actually expecting so much amount of money either. Okay, I'm not actually expecting so much amount of growth either too. No, nothing at all. I'm basically focus on that. I'm actually kind of like a YouTuber. Whatever the money that I will gonna earn from the YouTube, I will gonna invest on my application. Okay, I'm not gonna hire so many people. Okay, probably at the beginning I might gonna learn everything, like regarding about the app development and things like that. Okay, yeah, if really required kind of like a person, then I would gonna kind of like simply hire that particular person. Also I will gonna mention that ki dude, this is my situation, I might not have that much amount of money. I'm not kind of like give you guarantee regarding about that ki this still gonna work or not. Like probably is this thing na ki is kind of like a somebody is this thing, I'm gonna hire that particular person regarding about trust and things like that, because this is kind of like a new idea. Okay, if it work, then we will gonna go to the moon. If it not, then probably just nothing really at all. So I'm being really honest regarding about the people who are actually I'm hiring. I'm trying to hire as less as people as I can. Okay, also I realize that within a 5 year I might not gonna earn any kind of like a single amount of money. This is kind of like a some stuff that I already put inside of my things, that I will not gonna earn any kind of like a money at all for the 5 year. after I kind of like launched my application and things like that. Okay, and like this is kind of like something very genuine because of that. This is very new thing, being artifact or kind of like a things that people will should record the artifact. It's like a basically this thing. My application run on consistency. User should supposed to be record artifact, then it will gonna gain value. Okay. So what I'm trying to tell you is this thing na ki I am actually kind of like expecting very low bar for myself, for my business and things like that. Okay. And this is what I'm kind of like things that ki if someone is actually kind of like invested some sort of amount of money in my startup, I would kind of like tell them, dude, listen, okay, yeah, yes, you are kind of like investing money, okay, but don't invest money as a kind of like an investor. Okay, yeah. If you really think that this would gonna work, then you have to invest money, because it's just like that na ki I might not gonna return this money as early as possible as you can. Nothing really at all. By the way, is this thing I don't have to kind of like simply return. Basically, is this thing na ki when the investor actually invest money, it kind of like a simply take little bit of percentage of ownership, like a 1%, 2%, 3%. Okay, yeah. So basically, if gonna they actually give you $10 million for investment, they actually kind of like they will take 2% profit or 5% profit percent, like a 5% ownership. Okay, yeah. So this is what it is. Okay, yeah. So it's kind of like a thing that na ki dude, listen, whoever kind of like basically is this na ki like dude, like you can't be able to say this kind of like to the investor and things like that, because investor is kind of like something very big and things. I understand. Okay, let me tell you one thing. What exactly investor want? They are actually invest money on your startup is not because of kind of like your idea is good and great. No, they are actually investing money is because of that they think that ki if they invest money on your startup, they might gonna earn more after a couple of years. So that's why they are actually investing money, right? Yeah. So this is what it is. Okay, yeah. It's like that na ki if the couple of investors actually try to invest of money, I will gonna say that, dude, listen, okay, yeah, don't expect any kind of like a profit from me. Nothing really at all. Artifact is a kind of like something new and things like that, and it might not gonna work. Okay, yeah. So probably is this thing, don't expect anything, or if you think that we are not kind of like somebody capable enough for your things, then just don't. Okay, yeah. Whatever it is, I will kind of like handle it by myself. So this is like a basically I would kind of like a set the ground rule that you don't expect anything. Sometimes expectation is somewhat something really matter. If you're expecting too much, then probably obviously you went to failure. I'm actually expecting very least, and actually is this thing na, which is actually happened like basically is this thing na, in my entire period of lifetime, I am really fuck. Like basically everything is actually happening just like regarding about YouTube career, regarding about growth, regarding just everything. Yeah, I just like every time I feel failure first time. So I don't know. Okay, this is kind of like only I'm expecting very least growth. Nothing really at all. Okay, one thing. Another thing, for that least growth, okay, yeah, I'm still believe it might gonna work. What I'm trying to tell you is this thing. If I get one user in one day, I think that key it's kind of like an achievement for me. Okay, because let me tell you one thing now, when you record artifact, it add value. It's immensely gonna add value. Is it? Okay. If one user is actually getting, I'm good, I'm great. Okay, I try to figure it out that key what kind of like assembly way to kind of like assembly convince to people to record artifact every day. Let me tell you one thing, my goal is not to kind of like assembly get more and more user. No. My goal is that ki whatever the user that I have, are those user actually creating artifact every single day? They are actually providing consistency or not? Consistency is one of the most essential factor in the artifact. If the user is not actually providing consistency, I'm trying to make sure how they should supposed to be make, how they kind of like somebody do the consistency, how they kind of like somebody make the artifact every single day. This is my goal. Okay, I'm not my goal is not kind of like add more and more user. No, my goal is that people should supposed to be record artifact every single day. This is my goal. Okay, yeah, and I market my strategy regarding about this goal that key people should supposed to be record artifact because this happened. Okay, So this is my kind of like assembly. If I have this strategy, if I have this kind of like a goal, and if I have kind of like a least expectation, I would be kind of like a somebody that I might gonna kind of like a win. Because because is this thing na ki sudden growth is kind of like a replicate as a sudden downfall too. If I get sudden growth, then probably I'm bitterly scared. Because of that, ki sudden growth is like I don't want sudden growth. It just not. I want kind of like somebody consistent growth. Basically just like 2 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 to 7, 7 to 10, 10 to 12, 12 to 12, 12 to 13, 13 to 14. I need this growth, a consistency growth, 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 and things like that. I need kind of like those user are kind of like somebody collecting. My focus is that you make sure everyone should supposed to be record artifact every single day. For that particular purpose, I will try to make sure what is actually my marketing strategy. How do I supposed to convince people to record artifact? What kind of like way should I supposed to do this thing or not? Management is one of the biggest problem. Okay, because most of the businesses actually fail because of the kind of like a management and things like that. That is true, because when you run a business, it is a lot of things. And as also is this thing that at the beginning, I might not have that many amount. Like basically, I don't really have that much amount of people to kind of like something manage or things or that or something like that. So at the beginning, I might gonna kind of like somebody utilize technology as much as I could. Okay, instead of kind of like hiring any kind of like a person who's kind of like doing managing and things like that, I would kind of like utilizing a tool. Odoo is a kind of like a business platform. Okay, yeah, which kind of like handle everything regarding about invoices, regarding about every management things. It kind of like a handle by itself. It's cloud based kind of like assembly application. It done everything. It actually meant for kind of like assembly management of business. I will gonna use that thing. Okay, I will buy the subscription, which is far less cheaper as a kind of like a hiring as any kind of like assembly manager or things like that. And probably is this thing that it would kind of like somewhat something managed. Because let me tell you one thing that as I mentioned, I might have little less amount of people in my company. Maybe kind of like somebody, maybe 4 or 5 or things like that. That's it. Okay, I try to kind of like make sure that whatever the services that I'm providing, it should supposed to be little bit good and things like that. Okay, yeah. Another thing, criticism. Criticism is one of the most essential factor. Okay, let me tell you one thing now. Criticism is a really good thing and really bad thing. Okay, let me tell you one thing. Okay, what is that? When you get growth, okay, means like let me tell you one thing. If you are kind of like growing really rapidly, then you are criticized more. But when you have consistent growth, you will have little less criticism. Okay, yeah. What I'm trying to tell you is this thing. If you are so popular, you will get criticism. But if you are not really popular, then probably you don't really get that much criticism. Right? It's a normal funda, dude. Okay, it's a normal funda. So what I'm trying to tell you is this thing. Yes, I definitely gonna get criticism. Okay, yeah, and it's a kind of like a part of things. Okay, kudos to I am a YouTuber. Okay, I am a kind of like a content creator. Because of the content creator, I'm kind of like a simply handling the criticism is in my blood. Okay, yeah. So probably this thing it's not really that much affecting me, but still, I'm literally kind of like a focus on constructive criticism. Okay, constructive criticism is one of the best thing to figure it out what is actually problem that customer actually facing, and does customer or does my user are actually kind of like doing any kind of like a way to solve the problem or things like that. If they're gonna mention that dude, your UI is kind of like a really laggy, so make sure you fix that UI. This is called constructive criticism. Okay, yeah, they are not criticizing me, they are criticizing about my services. They also mention that my UI is kind of like not really good. I will try to make sure my UI is really good. Okay, the people mention that my UI loads really slow. I will try to focus on that people like the user interface should supposed to be load as fast as it can. Okay, yeah. So this is I would gonna do. Now regarding about the expenses. Okay, yeah. Let's just say that if my kind of like a services really require a kind of like a server which is costly, then how would I supposed to do that? I would rent Rent the server. What do you mean by rent the servers? Like basically is this thing the cloud-based database. Okay, yeah. Like basically is this thing people will gonna record the artifact. I should supposed to be kind of like a store some sort of artifact at somewhere. Okay. By the way, in 2025, there is a really good chance that there is a lot of kind of like a cloud storage that is actually available. Okay, yeah, for business purposes. So I don't have to worry about server and data center and things like that. Probably at the moment, till like a basically is this thing that key like a whatever the online things that actually providing, which is kind of like a really legit and everything. So I will gonna kind of like utilize that thing at the first. Okay, yeah, so that I might gonna save money regarding about server and things like that. Okay, it just think that na ki my main focus is that ki try to make my process as good as better as it can. One thing. Another thing, and my focus is that ki make sure my user should supposed to be record artifact every single day. Okay, and kind of like a assembly is this thing ki try to make little less expenses regarding about hiring, regarding about kind of like a spending, regarding about everything. Okay, yeah. And also be patient for 5 year. Okay, like basically is this thing after I launch for the 5 year, I haven't really seen any growth and things like that, just patience. Okay, let me tell you another example. Okay, like kind of like a situation, so not example. What if after the 5 year things didn't really go well? Like basically is this thing you don't really seen any growth or things or that then what you will gonna do? What kind of like some stuff that you gonna do? 5 year is a very long journey. Okay, yeah. And obviously is this thing within a 5 year, I might gonna learn regarding about why I'm being really fail or things or that. Obviously I have that kind of like a some experience and I will gonna get a little bit of confidence because of what is actually happening in the 5 year. I realize that and try to fix that thing. Okay, yeah. So even if after the 5 year, I will still wait for 6 year and things like that. Because of I kind of like somebody try to maintain everything as possible as it can. So probably I'm gonna wait for 6 and 7 year. What I'm trying to tell you is this thing that ki it work. It will definitely gonna work. It take time. It will gonna take time, but it will definitely gonna work. Okay, yeah. Because the way that I'm thinking right now and way that it kind of like possible, it is gonna possible. This business might not gonna fail or like I'm not really sure. Okay, like let me tell you one thing now. I hope for the best and prepare for the worst. This is what my motto regarding about that. So being failure, being criticism, being slow growth, or being kind of like a yeah. Also there is a one thing. Okay, when you are kind of like a hustling, it is really essential to celebrate small wins. It is very crucial factor. Let me tell you one thing. Whenever I will gonna achieve 100 user, I will celebrate. I don't know, like I'm not gonna celebrate so much, like basically nothing really at all. I'm gonna kind of like add a kind of like a some bread cake which cost you less like a 50 rupees or 50 or 100 rupees. I will gonna kind of like celebrate this kind of like a moment with my people. I will gonna take the selfie, upload that selfie on Instagram platform. I will gonna show it to the people that we achieve 100 user. It's not really that much, but it is something. Okay, yeah. Steady progress. Is it steady progress? But it is progress too. Okay, yeah. Instead of having 0 user, I have 100 user right now. Right? So I'm gonna celebrate that thing. I'm gonna celebrate that small wins. Because let me tell you one thing, now that small wins is really essential factor when you are kind of like running a business or things or that. It is really essential to motivate your people, motivate your team. Because in the end, like I don't really consider my team as a family member. No, nothing at all. My team is a kind of like a somebody sports player, a kind of like a team, a kind of like a somebody sports team, like let's just say cricket team. Everyone has a responsibility to do something right, and we will gonna kind of like put the heart as a team would do, and we will gonna celebrate as a team would do. This is what exactly is this thing. And sometimes small win matter. It kind of like give you that confidence. It kind of like give you that we are matter something. Whatever the work that we do, it's matter something. Small wins matter, dude. So I'm gonna celebrate small wins. Okay, yeah. Just kind of like take a kind of like a bread cake, eat it. Okay. Take the selfie, upload that selfie on Instagram. Fine, that's it. I'm not really expecting so much, but fine. I'm actually kind of like thinking that whatever kind of like somebody, I will run a business from my rent apartment. Okay, this is what it is. So is this thing na ki one of the biggest failure of business is that expecting too much. And I think that ki I have to be expect very least. Like basically I would not gonna get anything at all, just least and things like that. And if I kind of like expect less, probably it's good for me, because whatever the kind of like somebody get, let's just say 100 user, which is kind of like a good for me, because 100 user is kind of like a bigger than 0 user, that's which is good. So yeah, but still, whatever the word that I say, whatever the speak, whatever the stuff that I said is my word. Okay, it's just my word. It's just kind of like a things that na ki it's just word. In reality, things might be really fucked up, dude. Really fucked up. Because in reality, when you face those challenges, when you face that particular growth and things and nothing really at all, na, it just like basically cripple your mindset. It just like that, na, it just like you wanted to die. Okay, yeah. And this is what kind of like I'm feeling right now. Okay, let me tell you one thing. I'm doing a YouTube for almost like a 5 year. How many subscriber do I have? 1,500 subscriber. In Instagram platform, I have 13,000 follower. That's it. Like basically I spent almost like a 5 year of my life for kind of like I'm started this YouTube in 2021. Right now it's 2025. Yes, I make a lot of mistake regarding about YouTube. Yes, I kind of like changed a lot of genre in the music and in the YouTube too. Yes, but dude, I spend almost like a 5 year. Okay, yeah, I'm 32. I'm living with my parents. Every time my parents are kind of like saying that key, what are you doing with the life and things and that, I seen failure in my parents' eyes from my point of perspective. So it's just like that, na ki I'm already a failure, dude. Okay, yeah. What could be worse thing happen? Right? So basically is this thing, if I establish little bit startup, if I establish kind of like a if I establish startup, it's big achievement for me. Okay, yeah, it's big achievement. If I hire somebody, it's big achievement. If I get 100 user, big achievement, dude. Because the where I came from is and whatever I get is way much bigger. Okay, so probably is this thing na ki I'm not expecting anything. If I get something from like basically at this moment, if I earn some sort of amount of money from YouTube, not that much, but some sort of amount of money, I'm fine, dude. I'm good. I'm great. I'm gonna put the effort every single day. That's the thing that I was gonna do, and that's it. Okay, yeah. I'm believing myself that ki one day I would gonna do much better. Not only for myself, but for me, for people around me, for the community. I would gonna do. I believe in myself. I could do that thing. I just need just like most of people actually think that dude, time. You are 32. When did you kind of like earn money? When you will gonna get married? When you will gonna things and that and that? I don't know, dude. I didn't really think that. I never really think about those. Like basically, I broke those rules so early in my life. Yeah, and I realized that I was not that kind of like a person who would kind of like follow the rule and things like that. After the COVID, I was become straight to myself, dude. अभी मुझे मेरे मन की करना है. That's it. Because whatever it is, it's just like that. Na, ki sometimes I just kind of like a talk too much and stuff and so. I just whatever. I think that na this life is really beautiful. Whatever the day that you get, this present is one of the biggest present that you have. Utilize it. Make it productive. Make it better. Make it much better. Make it something matter for somebody. That's it. Okay, yeah. It's just like that, na, ki if I die, I'm not kind of like a taking money with myself or things or that. The biggest currency or biggest value that I get in the life is happiness. That happiness come from my work. I think that ki whatever the happiness that I get, I will gonna get from my work. Obviously, I also get happiness from the people around me, friends, families, lot of things. I think that now my life is really beautiful. In my life, it has hustle, it has failure, it has a win too. Might have kind of like a bigger win. I'm not really sure, but it would be really good. It's just like that, na, ki when I die, okay, I would kind of like a proud myself that ki I did something good there. Like basically, I was not cooped up by something that I wanted to do and I haven't really did that. I did. I fail, accept. I did. It was good. And I am fucking proud of myself, dude. Yeah. It's just like that, na, ki, dude, let me tell you one thing. Okay, as I mentioned, I'm 32, living with the parents, not earning any money. My parents always criticize me every single day. But whenever I make that design and whenever I upload that design, I feel good. I feel something that ki, मैंने कुछ किया है, dude. I feel something that ki it matter. Okay, this is kind of like a feeling, na? This is kind of like a feeling that ki you did work and you feel proud of self that you did work. This is kind of like a feeling that I never really felt when I was doing a job. Every day kind of like somebody feels like dying every day. But today I'm kind of like a making design. It kind of like a get 2000 3000 views on Instagram, 500 600 or like a 500 views on YouTube platform. Some people kind of like a saying really good, really great. I feel good. Like basically is this thing na ki when I make my design, people kind of like appreciate me. People says that ki, dude, your design is really good. It kind of like somebody and I feel really good, dude. Sometimes na, it just so basically this thing ki regarding about the failure that I face in my entire life, regarding about the education, regarding about college, regarding about job, regarding about this YouTube, everything. I think that now I'm kind of like something used to with the failure and things like that. I didn't really have anything to lose. So probably is this thing na ki establish this business and things like that. It just I would handle it. Okay, yeah, and just do it better every single day. That's it. Alright. So this is the way that I could kind of like handle my failure, plan to deal with the failure, slow growth, and criticism. I think it's a part of the life. This is the end. Thank you.